if you hadn't come to Heritage, right? And he will tell your story. English is a little bit hard for him, but he's 100 in math, so.
Amazing.
So, and this is David Marotti, also a local boy. And his story, I'm going to be here when you testify because his story is dramatic, but he doesn't tell it that way. He was making low grade, not low, but say here, average grade. When he got a sponsorship, he made an A when he graduated. Wow. So they're boys that are miracles, and we're proud to have them in our school. But because of time, we're going to separate and have the girls speak today. You guys can sit. And we're going to have 2 of our graduates speak today, and I think 2 of our students. And so let's start with Ruby. Ruby is strong, right?
Yes. Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Ruby Angaya. I get my primary education in this Heritage Primary. Then I went in high school there in Heritage. I get my secondary education there. So me joining Heritage was not easy. Since life was hard at home, the life home was miserable. We could not even afford to pay the school fees since everything was tough at home. My parents had no job to take me to school. So when we heard of Heritage, my grandmother took me here and came to admit me, and I was admitted in Heritage when I was still young in playgroup. So I started my education here, but to pay the playgroup school fees was also hard, but it was little. So my grandmother had to go to the forest to get some firewood so that she can bring to school to be paid as my school fees. So that was the system. That was the means how my grandmother was paying my school fees up to grade 3 when I was called in the office and told that I'm sponsored. Since that time, I was sponsored and I get my education free. Since that time, I've never been sent home for school fees again. Up to my high school level, I finished without being sent home for school fees. And for that reason, I really appreciate you for the support you have given me. If not for you, even maybe I could have not get my education. Maybe I could have been even a street girl. So I'm privileged to be here. I just say thank you to you all for supporting us.
Ruby's a child that when your parents separated, divorced, right? How old were you? How many years were you?
8 months.
Oh, you were little. And it was it's really hard for a single woman. It is in the U.S., but it is very hard here. And at one point, her mama got so desperate. How many of us were there? You and your sister? 2, yeah. And Tula knows this. The mama was so desperate, she put the children on the road so they would be run over. And someone saved them, and we're so thankful. And she came to our play group and has been with us since. And a wonderful person to know. So we're thankful for you, Ruby.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Martinette.
My name is Charlene Church. I come from West Pokot County.
Okay, they don't know where West Pokot is. Do you tell them?
I can explain about West Pokot. West Pokot is towards not very far from here. We have a county that is on the border where mainly most of the people in that county, they are pastoralists, they keep livestock. And then it's one place where we have theft of animals at a high rate. So people, most of the people, even the younger ones, we find them looking after the animals with cans on their shoulders. And then also, most of the people there, they had not embraced education. So girls who are married at an earlier age, if they don't get education, the parents may see, they value animals very much. A parent can decide to exchange a cow and a pig even animals. So she came from there, and then she found herself here. So I'll allow her to continue with her story.
I'm just going to add to it. So she's the first girl to come, or the first student to come from West Pokot. And it's illegal in Kenya to have guns, except in this area, they have guns. And it's a very dangerous area to come from. So that is Shirlene, and she's been one of our wonderful students, graduated with an A-.
When I was young, I used to say my dad and my mom quarreled and they divorced, so I used to stay with my mother. But then when I got older, she wanted to get me married off to another man. So when my dad heard of it, he came and took me before being married to that man. But he did not have much money, so I used to study at a small primary school, public. Then when I passed my primary education, then when I was supposed to join high school, I did not have the funds to help me join high school. So a teacher from primary school called John Kakai, he told my father about this school, and so my father came up to high school and he asked for permission so that I could join the school. So when I was approved, I got so happy. Yes, and I decided to just study so that I can, in the future, I can help children from that county who are suffering, who are going through what I did, so that I can help them. Thank you.
You got the part that they tried to marry her off when she was 11 years old.
11?
But she actually fought back.
Good for you. Strong. Good for you.
These are miracle kids.
Yeah, so from West Pokot, which is very far from here, she came here and then she has at least God has enabled her to realize her dream, because the grade she got, she's now sure of going to get a very good course in university. They are yet to decide on the course she's going to take. But when you score an A, you are sure of at least landing a good course like medicine, like engineering. So they are likely to get good courses because of the grade. So we really appreciate the support. Could it have not been for that support, maybe she could not. If she could have remained at home and there is no option of joining secondary, the father could have turned away, maybe it wanted to do her own. Maybe she could be married and have forgotten. But now, because she was given a chance of being here in school, she's going to be somebody who will be of great help to the community. So I really appreciate.
So I'm going to say something about these kids that made the A's and the B's and C pluses. We had 98 kids graduate, 43 made a C plus or better, which means they can go directly to university. And the government somewhat supports that if you make what they call direct entry to university. So it's a big deal, but still, they have to pay something. They have to have their own room and board, and they have to have some part of the expense. So it's around Okay, you guys, I've got a grandchild going to school where it's $80,000 a year.
Yes. Yeah.
And, you know, his family's struggling. But these kids, if with the government sponsorship, it might be around $2,500 for their fees and their
Is that
room
for
and board.
semester or a year?
Year.
Okay.
But that's like $1 million to them. They don't have, like, she wouldn't have $100. So I want to tell you a miracle story from the U.S. We have a donor who has been one of our major sponsors for years. And he called me in November and he said, what's going to happen to these kids when they graduate? He wouldn't mature. He wouldn't have $100. And I know these boys. And so this man started asking me questions about the kids graduating, and I said, well, they might make university, but unless we can sponsor them, they won't go. So right now we're sponsoring, I think, 26 kids, and we've had, I don't know how many graduate. You'll see them on Saturday.
26 for college. You're sponsoring
26 in college, yeah. And this man was so burdened that he and his wife discussed for 2 months if they might do something. And they sponsored all of you kids to go on to university. And they're committed to the school year. It was a miracle, yes, yeah. But that's just one class, and we're graduating one every year. But we know God's gonna provide, we don't know how. I didn't know this man was I was out visiting my daughter, get a call from him, I'm like, why are you calling me today, you know? And he started asking all these questions. But it will make a very big impact on David. He knows, he's smiling. But also, we had 2 guys, I don't know if you noticed them, 2 of our graduates have come back, they're teaching now. We have others who will graduate. Our first class really graduates this year, right? We've graduated 6 classes, but COVID was in there. So
For the sake of our people, they explain, like, they don't get into college, but they don't get to choose the college, right?
He will need to explain that.
After now they know their results, we have a selection board that places learners in universities and
It's a national
colleges.
board.
So a learner is allowed to choose university of his or her choice, and they are given 4 options. You choose 4 courses of your preference, starting with the one you feel is the best for you. And then once you have done the selection, they now go and assess as by your grades. You know, different courses have different requirements in terms of grades. You may find a course that requires mathematics. They will check if the learner merited in mathematics or not. If the learner is not placed in the first course, they now go and consider the learner on the second course of choice, and then like that. And then if the learner has not succeeded in the 4, they replace the learner in a course they feel he fits. And then the learner is also given a window period after they have known where they are going. They are given 2 weeks to either make an appeal. I was placed in this university or this course, but I've changed my mind. I want to go to this course in a particular university. So they are given that time of making a change. Once you have made a decision, you will go there. You download the form of admission that has the requirements for that course, and then now start preparing. It has the dates on which you will be joining, and then you do the preparation, and then you report on the reporting day. Michelle, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. With me standing here is Michelle Andanja from grade 9 East, and I'm privileged to stand before you. My testimony is that I first came to this school when I was in grade 4, really not performing well, my parents didn't have enough money to pay school fees here, but all because of one of our neighbors, we got a connection to come to this school. Yeah, I started improving on my studies, and I saw the difference from the other school to this school. And last year, I had a mystery that I lost my father, but he always stood with me, and I saw that this is a way that everyone must pass. And I was like, I can continue with this life all because of your sponsorship. So I'm very, very thankful and grateful for your love, and you've shown me that with this world, there are people who love you and care for you. I'm very, very grateful. I just pray to God that you'll be blessed. Thank you.
Yeah, Michelle, when she came in, she said she was in grade 4. She was coming from a public school, that's a government school. When you compare a private institution like ours and a government institution, the one that teachers are paid by the government, they receive funding from the government. The difference is mainly in terms of performance. Most of the learners we get from public schools, most of them cannot even read, and some of them even have challenges in writing. But when she came in, I cannot say she could not read, she could read, but her academic performance in terms of subjects like mathematics, I was teaching her mathematics, she wasn't very good. But I think what helped her is the change of the environment. When she came here, she came directly to the boarding department. So it gave her time for her to study. And then also the facilities here, we have books, we have committed teachers. I think that was what changed her performance. From an average girl, now she's the best in her class. So we really appreciate for the effort. You can see when that sponsorship part comes in, there's a lot of impact on the learner. Some of the learners, when they are given a chance now, they now will not be going home for school fees. They really embrace that chance, and then you see even the performance-wise going up. And some of them, even health-wise, we see maybe a child was struggling, you realize it was because of stress, issues at home. But now when he's given a comfort environment, comfort support, things start changing, and then you realize the best out of that particular child. So we really appreciate. Yeah.
So I want to say something about government schools and this school. So when we started here in 2007 with the preschool, because Davis knew that preschool was the most important part of education. But also in Kenya, a child in preschool, to go to first grade, they have to pass an exam. And at that time, I don't know what it is now, but at that time they had to be able to write their name, count to 10. There would be some fish there, and they'd have to say how many fish that was, you know, some simple things that they had to do. So we trained our kids. They exceeded all expectation. And one of the reasons we started the preschool is because these kids coming from homes where they lived, say, with a grandmother who had never been in school, she put her thumb down. That's how she did her name. And sometimes those grandmothers were in their 50s. I always think of grandmothers' 80s. Yeah. They were younger women who could not write their name. And so our children didn't have a chance. Well, how are they going to learn to write their name if they live with someone illiterate? So that's why we started the preschool, and that's all we were going to do. And so for 2 years, we sent our children to the government school down here, and we kept up with them. And one day I saw Naomi out on the road, and I said, why are you not in school? They sent me home for 100 shillings. That was $1. And my mama doesn't have 100, so she's just out walking the streets. And I'm like, okay, gather up all the Heritage kids and I'll take you in. It cost me $25 to pay their 100 shillings. And we got them back in school. So I visited those kids 3 times during those 2 years. I never, ever saw a single teacher in the classroom. Never. I was there 3 times. I would walk around, I'd try to find our kids, and there was no teacher anywhere. I don't know where the teachers were, but they were government teachers, they're set for life, they don't care. And then there was 7, you know, your kids have gone to public school, 70 or 80 kids in a class. So when the kids came here, and after a few months we'd say, what do you like about Heritage? We were curious, you know, are we different or not different? I'm telling you, nearly 80% would say it's quiet. I'm like, what child likes a school that's quiet? You know, that doesn't make any sense to me. But then when I visited, and I realized those kids, 80 kids in a classroom with no teacher, they were jumping on desks, they were yelling and screaming. It was total chaos. So when our kids came here, it was not chaotic, and they were in school every day. So that's why we started a preschool, even though a primary school, even though I didn't want to do that because, y'all, there was a lot of work. But when I see these kids, especially Duncan, it's been worth all the sacrifice we've made. But this story goes together, these two, Noah and Duncan.
I think you can start the first part.
You want me to start it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Duncan was 3 years old. Come up here, Duncan, and lift your head up. You're a big boy now. And he was 3 years old, one of the cutest little kids I'd ever seen. And his grandmother was taking care of him, and she was a wonderful woman. I don't know if he even remembers her, but she came in the office, and she said, I've got breast cancer, I'm near death, will you take Duncan? His father's an alcoholic, his mother had left, and she said, will you take Duncan? So our principal at that time was a young guy who had been around the block, and he says, are you telling us the truth? Because you get a lot of stories. And she says, I really do have cancer, and he says, let me see, and she showed him. And she really did have breast cancer. And we said, we'll take Duncan in. So we took him in at 3 years old, and Grandma passed away not long after that. So he lived with us for many years, right? Do you remember? Duncan and the twins, Bahuru and Caleb. They're 3 little boys. We call them the 3 Musketeers. They were adorable. But they were always getting in trouble, I think. So time went on, and his father remarried, and we thought now the home might be stable, so he can go back. And you take the story from there. Duncan's pretty shy, so I don't know if he wants to or not.
I think after staying in the dorm for some time, he went to rejoin the family. And then he was coming from home, he comes to school, and then he joined the dorm again because the class he was in required him to be in the dorm. So last year he came to me, and then he said, things are not well at home. I'm not at peace at home. My parents are quarreling, they are fighting. I don't want to go back home. So I went, we shared with Margaret, and then Margaret asked me, what do you think we can do? And I said, I think the boy came to me, and the solution to the boy, I'll take the boy to my place, and I will be staying with the boy. So I came and told Duncan, I feel, because of the challenges you told me, when school closes, you will go to my place. He was excited. So when we closed, he went there. I happened to have a son who is here, also to one step behind Duncan. So when he came home, they became friends. And then I realized after a short period of time, Duncan had gotten a new home. He was comfortable with us. Even if a new person could come to our place, he couldn't say Duncan is a visitor or something of the kind. So as we are saying now, Duncan is staying with me. I'm taking care of him, and he's enjoying his education. I've seen even his grades in the class now also improving, which I'm so happy about it. So Duncan will continue being under my care. I will continue supporting him. I think there's some information which I have not even shared with him. When the father was here, he was talking to me, and it was as if he was telling me, please continue taking care of Duncan the way you have been taking care of him, because he has his issues, health issues. So I promised him Duncan is very safe in my hands. I will continue standing with him until the time when he will be at least a man reliable or capable of standing on his own. So he's now part of my family, and I'm happy of that.
Yeah. So we all do love you, Duncan. And he knows it, and Noah occasionally sends me pictures of Duncan and his family. And the one I noticed, Duncan, was the baby was there and you had your hand on the baby. And then when he came up to me last week, and you can tell he's a very shy child, I think you're going to get stronger. If you live with Mr. Noah, you'll get stronger. And he came right up to me. It was last week. I'm like, Duncan, yay! So we love you, but we also love Mr. Noah. I think you could tell today the children do too. Yeah. But he came to me. I was here with a couple of visitors, some young high school kids and a young married couple. And we were having lunch, and he was eating with us, and he said, I need to talk to you privately. I'm like, oh no, that's not a good sign usually. So I said, okay. After lunch, and we just walked, and we stood right out there. And he said, my family and I have met. Do you want to tell your own story?
I can tell it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I happen to be from this community. My home is not very far from this school. So for a long period of time, I extended my school activities to my home, I can say, whereby learners in the community used to come to my place when they have issues, we share. If it is counseling, we counsel. If they have problems, they also learn there for assistance, and we have been doing it. So I came to realize last year, when we were going for midterm break like the one we are about to go, a number of learners came to me and they were telling me, we have challenges of how we travel up to home. Can we find a place where we can stay as others go home? And then I took a number to my place. We stayed with them for the 1 week that the school had been closed. And then after that, they came to school. They appeared very happy. And then second time it also happened the same. The number now kept increasing. And then I looked at the facilities that I have at my place. They were at least training. So I talked to my wife. I said, we need to at least do some expansion. We need to at least add some rooms here. And then also we look for some bettings, because children will keep on coming. And when they come, that is the way God wants us to serve Him. So at least we have to reorganize ourselves and do some expansion. So we saved some money. I went and bought some beds, and some beddings to add to what was there. And then we also decided to add at least 2 rooms, at least to have enough space for boys and then enough space for girls. So I decided I would share with Margaret on the plan we have. I told her this is what we have done so far, and this is what we are planning to do, so that we can have a place when our learners have issues, at least they can know where to take refuge. Because sometimes we have learners, especially when schools are not on, at home they have some issues. Maybe a child is staying with an abusive parent or a guardian. So the child reaches to a point where he or she cannot withstand anymore. So the child will decide, either I run away. You are sometimes told by the police, there's a child here from your school, can you come? So if we have a better place where they can know if I have a challenge, that is where I go, it is better. So when I shared with Margaret about the plan, I think she took it positively. Me, I thought we have just shared, because I just wanted her to know what I was doing. I didn't know it would come with a surprise. When we went home in December, I saw Davis telling me, we want to do an expansion of your house. So I was, wow. What are you saying? So he came, and then they started the construction of a house that will be able to house the boys separately and even the girls separately for the future use of our family and even the learners. So as a family, we are really grateful for it. It is still under construction, but we know it's God's doing. It will give us a more chance of serving more learners. When a child has an issue, we just know when I reach at Mr. Noah's home, I'm safe. At least I'll be taken care of. So we really thank God for everything. And my family is really supportive. Duncan has been there, is part of the family. If you come, somebody said, I didn't know you have twins. Because when he's with the other boy, they are of the same age, same height. So somebody can say they are twins. But we know God had a reason for that. So Duncan is safe in my hands, and I have assured her. But nowadays he's very free. If he has anything, he's free to come and share with me. He's free to come and tell me how he's faring on in the academic, and I'm happy about that.
We're thankful for him.
How many kids are with him now?
Mostly Duncan lives with him all the time, but the other kids kind of come and go.
And now, maybe to answer that question, at the moment, when his midterm break is just a break of 1 week, so the number of learners increases, because we have some who come from far, they cannot travel. So it will increase. But now, Duncan is with me every time school closes, he's there. And then also, I think I was sharing with Margaret, there's other 2, and there is another 2 boys and 1 girl who may be joining me as from next week. So maybe Margaret has talked about my life. I can explain something. I think when I started being a teacher, I was doing on voluntary service in a public school. And I wasn't being paid much. When I went there, I didn't go there expecting anything. But when they realized my work was good, they said, we'll give you at least something to support your family. But that something they had promised was not coming, but I was working. So my passion for working made the learners and the parents to love me. And also learners started realizing better grades in the school I was. Even right now when we go there, you will see the record still clear displayed for the performance. I posted when I was there. So it's that commitment to the learners, love to the learners, that made the director to come and approach me and say, I have heard about you. Can you come and help us? So I agreed. In fact, it was hard for me to move from there because once you settle somewhere, but then they were not paying me. But I wanted to be coming here part-time and there part-time to offer services on both sides. But there they became rude, and then I failed. Here we also have learners who need my services. That is when now I decided to come here. I've been here for 10 years. And I believe God is still giving me strength and a good health for me to continue serving. So I'm hoping for the best, both for the learners and even the staff that we are working with. And I always assure Sister Margaret and Director that it is God who wanted me to be here. So as long as I'm alive, I will continue serving. Yeah.
So I'm gonna we'll finish up. It's hot, y'all are tired, we gotta move. But I want you to hear Duncan say one thing. He's promised me he'll say. I'm saying, Duncan, what is one good thing about being with Mr. Noah?
They've been support for me since I came to this school, 2015. They have really helped me through my academics, and I will keep praying for them so that God can lift them.
Thank you.